We have a lot of operators in Arizona, and we have a high demand for them.
As we all know, silver tsunami is
Yep.
breaking upon us, and it's not coming, it's here. Also, it's going to come to a head where it's going to become a genuine crisis that we
Yeah.
don't have people in these plants. Welcome back, everybody. I have Bram Briscorn here with the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Operations Certification Program, and we are going to be discussing not only wastewater treatment certification, but also drinking water. You guys carry both of those certifications in your program. Is that correct, Bram?
We sure do. Yeah. Thanks for having me here today, Sean.
Thank you so much for being here, Bram. So we're going to talk about how one would go about becoming a wastewater or drinking water operator in Arizona. So let's first start, Bram, with the very first question is how in Arizona would somebody become a wastewater treatment operator? I'm going to more lean into the wastewater because that's my channel, but if there's any nexus with drinking water, feel free to throw that in there.
Sure. Yeah. And the certifying steps would be the same, whether you're going for wastewater or drinking water. We do offer four types of certifications: water treatment, water distribution on the drinking water side, and then wastewater treatment and wastewater collections on the wastewater side, all of those running from entry level grade 1 up through grade 4. And so the only prerequisite for becoming a certified operator in Arizona is a high school diploma or a equivalent, a GED. That's the federal minimum requirements. So without any experience, a high school graduate can sign up for a grade 1 entry level exam and work their way up from there. Those are our standardized exams offered through third party proctors. So whenever an examinee is ready to take their first certification test, all they have to do is book a grade 1 exam seat with one of those proctors, show up, take the test, and with a passing score of 70 or higher, that's when the operator can take those exam scores and come to us and certify those exam scores with Arizona.
Awesome. So my question here now that we've kind of gotten on the levels, you got grades. Is it grade or level 1 through 4? And
We call them grades. Yeah.
grades. Okay, so your grade 1 through 4. Is there anywhere in that path to the 4 that you would need any higher education than high school at all?
No, not necessarily. There are instances where higher level education might be required if you're applying to test into a higher level grade than you would normally qualify for. So if I was uncertified and wanted to hop right to a grade 3, there are pathways with higher levels of education and experience where that's permissible. But in general, no, there's no higher level education required. It would just be a matter of starting with grade 1. Once you've held your current certification for a full year, 365 days to the day, you can test for the next level exam and work your way up from there. There are some continuing education requirements for certification renewals, which we can get into. But in general, no more education beyond high school would be required for working your way up.
I think that's a lot. That would give people a lot of hope. Out here in California, I had to have 48 education units outside of high school to get my
Mm.
grade 5. So, and you have to have something along the whole way. And so every state's different. I really like that you guys don't require that. I think it lowers the barrier of entry for those who want to break into this industry.
For
So,
sure.
who in Arizona, who is required to have a certificate? Everybody in the plant, just certain operators? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there are minimums for the plants as far as who's on their staff. Certified operators are the ones, of course, who will make all of the decisions about process controls and system integrity at both the water and wastewater systems. And so all of those facilities require, at the minimum, an operator in direct charge who is certified for the class of the facility and at or above the minimum grade level of the facility. And then beyond that, facility owners need to ensure that any operators who are currently working in their facility are on file with us at ADEQ. But the minimum would be that operator in direct charge who oversees the other operators and is at the class and grade of the facility.
So, in order to get your experience, you don't already have to hold some sort of operator and training certificate, or is that a thing? Do you need an OIT to get involved, or can you just go in off the street, work under somebody, and start accruing hours?
Right off the street. Yeah, we don't currently have an operator and training program or any requirements. Aspiring operators, of course, can take on apprenticeships, and we do encourage whenever possible that you get some industry experience. But as I mentioned, if you're just graduating high school and you think it's a cool career path, you want to check it out, and you're ready for that exam, that's the only entry is testing and passing for that initial exam, and then you'll have your grade 1 certification and can find work in the field.
That's great. That's wonderful. So we already talked about grade levels 1 through 4. How do you classify a plant in Arizona? What determines what level of certificate you need to work in a plant?
Yeah, so our public water systems are graded in the same way that the certifications are offered. So there's the certain classes, the wastewater collection, wastewater treatment, and then the grades, grade 1 through 4. And the systems themselves are classified in the same way, and that's graded by the complexity of their system and the population served as well. There's a whole you know list of things that are factored into grading a plant, with a grade 1 being the simplest of systems, serving small populations, up to those grade 4 being those huge city industrial systems that are more complex than the others. And that's a process determined by our engineers and our field inspectors. They go through all of the steps to determining those system grades, and those can change over time if new components go on or offline in the facility.
And it's typical that larger utilities don't have a hard time hiring because people flock to them, right?
Sure.
But the smaller rural facilities tend to have a harder time finding people, mostly because they're sparsely populated relative to an urban center. But also, people just don't really know about the trade, right? Which is why we're kind of
Definitely.
doing some of these videos, is to bring awareness, right? Is there anything you do, like in California and Oregon, there's provisional grade ones. Is there anything you do for a underserved community that's a smaller plant that you can kind of give them, here's your grade 1 for a year or 2 years, you've got this much time to go actually get certified? Do you guys provide a provisional or anything like that?
We don't. There's nothing of that nature, but we really are here to support, especially those small rural systems. And so there are remote operator options, especially for those really grade 1
Nice.
systems. There are certain instances where one operator can take on a handful of systems in a region, and so many systems that are wanting a community member to train up and get that grade 1 level certification. In the meantime, they can outsource and hire a remote operator who's there to check in, make sure things are going well. They will be there in person, to a minimum degree. But then, they're not stationed just at one system all the time. They're kind of getting around a territory.
Sure. And I would imagine you would see a contract operator in that scenario, being that
Correct.
remote, right? Like an Infomark or a Veolia, somebody like
Right.
that. Got it.
Right.
Cool. Okay, so we talked about how to get the grade levels with experience, you get your hours, and you mentioned that you can probably jump a grade or two if you've got the education. Are we talking college degree? Is there a correspondence course? Do you tally up education units? How do you go about skipping grades with education?
Yeah. So depending on the grade you want to skip into, there are certain requirements, education and experience. And so for whatever grade you're skipping into, again, the minimum education level is high school. But if high school is your highest level of education, then you're going to need some certified time as experience. Just for example, if I have a wastewater treatment grade 1, and I'm not certified in wastewater collections, but I want to certify directly into wastewater collection grade 2, if I have a high school diploma and I've held that wastewater treatment grade 1 for over a year, then I can apply for, and I would meet the requirements for testing early into that grade 2. Now, if you do have a bachelor's degree or higher in a qualifying discipline, so those are really STEM fields, biology, chemistry, water related, engineering, things of that nature. If I have a qualifying degree, I might be able to hop directly into a grade 3 or 4 without any certified experience. Now, I will need experience still, relevant, water plant experience, but it doesn't necessarily need to be certified at any level. So that's when that higher levels of education can really come in handy. If you have a qualifying degree, you can test up early into higher grades.
So it's a higher level degree, but like I couldn't go to Sacramento State or WEF and hodgepodge a bunch of courses together to skip. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. Now, those courses are still useful, of course, especially if you are certified. We do have continuing education requirements. We call them PDHs, professional development hours,
Hmm.
and those are required for certification renewals. So you'll need 30 hours worth of those every 3 years for a renewal of an existing certification. And those can, of course, be workshops, on the job trainings. There's a wide variety of things that qualify, but those college level courses do qualify for those as well.
Okay, great. And I'm going to pull a thread on that quilt here in a second about test prep. But the thing I want to ask real quick before we go there is, I haven't outright asked this, and I just want to be clear. Is there any hour minimum to be certified? Like in California, I have to have 1,800 hours of experience. I could be a civil engineer, and I cannot get certified until I've got 1,800 hours of experience. in a plant full time. Is there anything like that in Arizona?
Not if you're progressing through the normal pathways,
Okay.
where if I have my grade one, I've held it for at least a year, then I can test for the grade two, so on and so forth, all the way up to grade four. If you wanted to go directly early into that grade four level, though, you will need a certain amount. At the very minimum, again, if you had that qualifying bachelor's degree. If I was uncertified, but I had a relevant degree and I wanted to apply to test directly into that grade four, I'll need at least 2 years of
2 years.
qualifying experience in,
Okay.
in the field. Yeah.
So let's go back to Sacramento State Water Environment Federation and all these other outfits. Um, what is your testing standard? And there's a lot of states that use ABC, WPI. Is Arizona one of those, or do you have your own standard?
We do use WPI. Yeah. Yeah. Water
Okay.
Professionals International. We use their standardized exams.
Is there a list of courses that somebody could take? I'm not looking for you to endorse any one particular course, but is there a list that you have on your website that somebody could go look at, Sacramento State and et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. We have we call it our How to Become Certified guide. It's a PDF on our website that has, details on how to register for the exams, but it's also got a lot of recommended study material. Of course, it's not completely comprehensive. There's a many resources for study, but Sacramento State is on there, as well as many free options, some paid options, some in-person options, all sorts of different training material to get ready for those exams.
Awesome. And for those of you out there watching this, the links to all of that will be down in the description. Well, I only got one more question for you, Bram. Is there any, we're going to talk about reciprocation. Is there anything that I have not asked you, though, that you feel like we should talk about?
That's a good question. We try to keep our program pretty
Pretty
straightforward.
simple.
We have a lot of operators in Arizona, and we have a high demand for them.
Yeah.
So we have over 13,000 active certifications right now in Arizona, and that's across over 6,000 operators. And so it's just a matter of making sure that everyone knows what the next steps are and what their options are. We are pushing pretty hard for new operators to enter the field. So we're working on some pathways for near high school graduates all the way up into freshly graduated high schoolers to step on into the field, and that's part of why we try to keep it easy for getting those grade one certifications, just with that degree and heading on into the test from there.
That's great. That's great. And I think we need more outreach in the schools, and we need more young people because, as we all know, silver tsunami is
Yep.
breaking upon us, and it's not coming; it's here. And more are leaving than are coming in, and we're out here. It's great for me because my wages keep going up every year. Hey, I love it. But on the other hand, I'm looking around, going, we need to talk about the greater picture aside from
Yeah.
just my. I've got my egg over here, my nest, but we need
Yeah.
to bring more people in so they can experience this wonderful career, but also it's going to come to a head where it's going to become a genuine crisis that we
Yeah.
don't have people in these plants. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for joining me for this. And I've got one more question for you, and that's about reciprocation. And little known fact, used to be an Arizona operator certified because I reciprocated my California certificates because I was going for a job at the Grand Canyon, which I did not get,
Okay.
and I'm still a little salty about it. I came in second. But I would have probably stayed there my whole career. I would have been such a cool job.
It sounds
Anyway,
like fun.
I digress. If somebody wants to move to Arizona, how would they reciprocate their certification?
Yeah, so we do offer reciprocity, and that's another thing we try to keep as simple as possible. We offer reciprocity for all active certifications, both in water and wastewater, from all U.S. states, territories. We've done military certifications as well, and our goal is to reciprocate on a one-to-one level. So if you're holding a high level certification in one state, we're not going to water it down to a lower level in our state as much as is possible. Now, every state we know has different ways of going about their certification programs, but we'll do our best. We'll get in contact with this incoming certifying authority, and determine the most equivalent class and grade level that is possible. So one certification for one certification, as close as possible. I know you said California certifications, they go up to that fifth level. We only go up to four. So if we get a grade five from California, for example, coming to Arizona, we'll give them a grade four. That's as high as we can go. But those applications.
What about a 4.5 or a 4.0 gold star?
Oh, yeah, a gold star just to prove that you did it. Sure.
Make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go. It's still worth something, right? No.
I'm gonna hold on to that 5 my whole life if I ever move to Arizona.
Yeah, there you
Just
go.
just keep it on the wall. This has been very helpful, and as I can see, you do make it easy. You do make it very easy, and you guys are so approachable. And I want to let everybody out there know. I reached out to Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and Alma called me directly. That's one of the people that work for you in the information office, public information officer, and was super excited about this. And I could just tell the energy from you, Bram, and from Alma, and from the other people that I've conversed with that you guys are also very passionate about getting people certified. It's not just a job to you, and because of that, you're so accessible, and so I guess I'm kind of being all gushy about it, but what do people need to do if they've got questions? I mean, they're not going to ask me because I'm not in Arizona. They're going to want to ask you. How do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do appreciate that, Sean. That's definitely, something that we push for. We want to be a government office that answers the phone and answers your emails. And whatever we can do to get more people certified, we will absolutely do that. Our operator certification program has both a phone and email that you can reach us at during business hours, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Of course, the email is probably something you'll want to type out too, but it's AZOpcert, Arizona Operator Certification, but it's AZOPCERT at azdeq.gov, or you can give us a call at 602-771-0100.
That information will also be in the description below with the links. And I'm going to pin a comment at the very top of the comments. You'll see that contact info as well. And you can just email them or call them if you have any questions. Bram, thank you so much. This is probably the smoothest and most straightforward one I've done so far. Arizona does make it easy. I really appreciate you being here today.
Good deal. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate the time.